Hi. In this video, I'm going to demonstrate creating a REST controller. It's a little more complicated than my first one. We're going to have a subfolder that's going to return a map of a class. This particular video is going to demonstrate something more realistic in terms of REST controllers. My first video created a simple get and post response on the root of a website. Typically, you don't have APIs running on the root of a website. You have, HTML running off the root of the website. So normally this particular get wouldn't be there. I use it just to show the purpose of how to create your requests. So we're going to use Spring Boot again to create my response. So I'm going to start by creating a folder for my response. So I'm going to create a folder, call it students. And inside of students, I'm going to create two files. I'm going to create a typical student Java class, and I'm going to create a student controller. It's real important that you name those two, student and student controller. I've seen Spring Boot not work correctly if they're not named right. All right, in your student Java class, I'm going to turn off these rules. In your student Java class, create your basic class. As simple or as complicated as you need. Create all the setters and getters and default constructors. ToString is optional. I'm going to keep mine simple. I'm going to first name and last name. I'm going to do it right at least. And generate my constructors. I'm using source action. There's other ways to do that. I like to have a default constructor and a parameterized constructor. I need all my setters and getters. You may not need them, but it's helpful to have them. It's also helpful to make these private. The reason is Spring Boot uses JSON by default. JSON prefers its variables to be private. Okay, so we have our class. And this can be more complicated or less complicated depending on your need. Note the package, com.leadcontrol.com, simple web service students. Just make sure that is correct. So now we're going to edit the controller. The controller needs to be converted over into a REST controller. I'm going to create a map in here of students, and then I'm going to return back a list of students for a get. So right above this, I'm going to use the REST annotation. I'm going to call this a REST controller. It wanted this particular import, which is fine. And I'm going to create a map. I'm using a map here to simulate a database situation. A map of students, call them studs. Oops. I need Java Util installed or imported. It'll stop it from yelling at me. And it's angry. There we go. No longer angry at me. Alright, so I'm going to fill this map in my constructor for student controller. And it's just simply going to create a student. I'm going to use the setters. I use Douglas Adams, my first students. Someone out there's laughing. Now add my map. And I'll repeat this for somebody else. Random pick a number, number 7. Neil Stevenson. We've got really smart, successful students. All right, this is my controller, my constructor. I now need to make this actually respond to gets. So like I did in the past, I'm going to use request mapping. Except instead of slash this time, it's going to be slash students. This matches the folder you created over here, students. Why do I have a second one? And like before, we're going to use method. Whoa, 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 whoa. Method of get is default, but I like putting in there just to be sure. And what this is going to respond back, the response entity. I'm going to send back a list of rooms. I'm sorry, a list of students. We'll import this so it stops yelling at me. And it's just student, not students. Alright. I need to return something. Alright, this little clunky, I got to convert my map into a collection, then convert that collection to a list, and I'll return that particular list. Here I'll get the values, make them a collection. I'll create an array list of my results. I keep going students instead of students. And then return this. And what I return back here is a list of students. And I'm going to send back the response. And then HTTP status. I'm going to use OK, because this is correct. Alright, so if I've done this correctly, this should respond back with a JSON list of my 2 students. So let's see if it works. Let's run it. Ooh. Am I missing? Yeah, I'm missing an angle. Alright, try it again. Alright, it's running now. I'll go to Postman and take a look at what I get. So look at that. I get a JSON list of students. Except, Stevenson's repeated a couple times. That's kind of interesting. I probably forgot to do something. Yep, I just need to renew that. So let's go back to my constructor. I'll call the constructor here. That should solve that issue. Yes, it does. Stevenson and Adams. Alright, so what we've got is the ability to return with a list of data. In the next video, I'm going to demonstrate how to pass in a parameter so you can choose what you get.